Before we get started today, I would like to draw attention to a GoFundMe that my friend and the moderator of our Discord channel, Malcaria, is running. She's trying to raise money to visit her brother who is stationed in Japan. She's trying to raise $1,800 by May 16th. I had said April 28th previously. That's just because I don't know how to read. So that was my mistake. So she's trying to raise that much money by May 16th, which still isn't very long. And I'll include a link to the GoFundMe in the description. If you have any money at all that you're able to donate, I would be very appreciative if you would consider chipping it in to help my friend go and see her brother who is stationed in Japan. So, thank you very much for listening and donating any money if you do, and now let's get back to business. Okay, it's Sunday, which means against my better judgment it's time to go on Reddit and see what questions we can dredge up from this wretched hive of scum and villainy. Small but important tip, sit properly. Let's be real here, a lot of us sit slouched or in odd positions that don't support us a whole bunch. If you sit angled to the table and slouched for most of your gaming like I do, oh no, I sit like this. Just slowly over time drift further and further down in the seat. It's, power stance is a thing, even in gaming, If you sit up better, you do perform better for some reason. You can't win every game, it's true. How I've climbed consistently, whatever, who cares. How to improve personal accountability and the white belt mentality. What the fuck is the white belt mentality? This is a fucking novel. Never mind. I don't care that much. Why shot calling / leading your team is one of the most effective ways to climb the ladder. Funny joke. Ways to reduce inconsistent skill. Is there any way to help playing in my prime? I mean, you're always going to be kind of inconsistent because that's just how human beings are. The way you get more consistent is just by practicing a fucking lot, and you do get more consistent, but you're always going to be at least a little bit inconsistent, and depending on what type of hero you play, sometimes that's going to be really evident when you're playing badly. Like, if you play Widowmaker, some days you're going to be a god and kill everyone, and some days you won't be able to hit the broadside of Reinhardt's shield. Like, that's just how life is sometimes. And part of the game is recognizing when you aren't playing very well and adjusting to that, like changing off of Widow to like Soldier or something like that, right? It's part of any kind of like skill-based thing. You're always going to be kind of inconsistent, so you just have to practice a lot to reduce it and then recognize when you're not playing so well. I get yelled at for doing what the rest of the team won't. I pick Bridget on a team of Mercer, it's on a mirror attack at the first point the team is poking at the choke, not getting many picks and not capitalizing on the few we get. Worse, they have Orisa and Winston and no one is breaking their shields, yet our Ryan is just standing there until his shield breaks. So I go Bastion 3 minutes in and start taking advantage of my indecisive Rhine. Under cover of his shield, I can rip through, yeah. Throughout this, I had to leave the voice chat because peeps kept asking me why I was throw-picking Bastion. Why does this happen? I only kept repeating to myself as to why we couldn't break through their shields despite our great damage output. So I took it upon myself to do it for them. I said I'm Bastion for the road. We went on to win that game. Wow. I don't want my games to be toxic, even though I'm playing to win just like everybody else. Don't join the voice chat. Maybe disable the text chat as well. Overwatch has an overwhelmingly toxic community. Even if what you're doing is legitimately the best thing to do, your teammates will not always see it that way, and they will shit-talk you for it. That's just how life is, especially in a game like Overwatch. It's true of any game, right? Like, any kind of team-based game, like League of Legends, fucking Dota, what have you. It's all the same. People act like cunts to each other, regardless of game. It's just how life is. You just have to kind of tune it out, basically. It's perfect for me. I'm thick-skinned and love to fight, so it's the perfect game for me. But, it's a very, very toxic environment, Overwatch, which I feel is probably the biggest contributing factor to most people not playing the game anymore. Because I know quite a few people at this point who have stopped playing Overwatch, and one of the most commonly cited reasons is the community. And it just isn't getting any better. To be fair, like, it's not a problem you can completely remove. People are always going to be assholes to each other for one reason or another. But Overwatch, because it is so... It caters to such a casual market that it attracts cunts, basically, is the long and short of it. And we've ended up... And because it's such a team-based game, people end up being very frustrated because they feel like they don't have that much agency over the game, which is often true. You don't have, like, total agency over the game. It's not even like League of Legends where you can, or like Dota, where you can just crush the person you're laning against and buy like fucking 12 Infinity Edges and just kill them because you have more stats than the entire enemy team combined. It's just not that way. So it's, it makes people very frustrated, and it's very unfortunate, and very little is done to combat this, really. Why does Hanzo's Storm Arrow feel so strong? I think I have the answer. Hanzo charge of his movement speed? That's what you're gonna go with? The movement speed? Introduce the exact same movement speed debuff that Hanzo normally has when he charges it. No, like, that's not why it's strong. It's because it does fucking a lot of damage. It's very... straightforward. You got a lot of chances to hit things, and if you hit them even remotely consistently, you will kill fucking everything. It's not because he doesn't have the move speed fucking decrease. Is it too late to try and get better? I've just hit a plateau. I know it's meant to be plateau, but like, that ain't how I spell plateau. Overwatch has been out for over 2 years now, and the game in recent months has had a decline. Has it? I haven't really noticed, like, a decline. I think Overwatch will do decent throughout 2018 and maybe 2019, but I don't imagine Overwatch being the game in as early as 2020. That's less than 2 years away. I think I've missed my chance. Should I accept that I've plateaued out? I'm not getting better and I'm not getting worse. I'm just stuck. Like, should I accept forever goal? Like, if you want to get better at the game, get better at the game. I think this is... People are saying Overwatch is dying right now. That doesn't really seem to be the case from my perspective, but, you know, what have you. If you want to get better at the game, just keep trying to get better at the game, is, like, the simple answer. You know, don't worry about, like, the expected fucking half-life of the game or what have you. Just, like, if you like the game, play the game and try to get better at the game, right? Like, if you want to get better, just try and get better. It's kind of that simple. Doing Silent Dragon Strike. Cancel alt voice line with your injury. Example. Doesn't seem worth worrying about, really, but there's a fucking fly in here, god damn it. I mean... doesn't really seem worth worrying about, really. I remember there was talk not long after the game came out how the furry skins have a competitive advantage over the other skins because the ultimate voice line in those skins is quieter than the other skins. It's not worth worrying about. Question about improvement. Whenever I ask people about how to improve, they say something like, be aware of your actions and focus on the gameplay, and getting hours doesn't help at any point. Grinding hours doesn't help at any point. Grinding hours does help. It's okay for me, but it's really exhausting after a few hours. Craggy used to stream 8 to 9 hours, plus he had 3 hours of scrims daily, and I can't understand how he didn't feel tired at some point. Like, you can't stay full focus for straight 14 hours. It's not only him. Most pros yeah. I mean, this isn't really a question, is it? Grinding hours does... I guess it's how do they not get tired at some point? They likely do. Even if you watch, like, a lot of streamer... Like, this is more so true of, like, League of Legends streamers, where the queue times can be quite long when you're on the higher end. They're playing other games in the background, right? Like, they likely do get tired of it at some point during this, like, fucking 12-hour day that they're playing the game. You know, it's an aspect of, like, esports type environment that people don't really think about, because it's very tiring to play a video game for that long, which sounds stupid. It's like you're sitting in a chair playing the video game. Yeah, you know, it's not the same, like, you know, fucking professional football players and that, they don't fucking practice for 12 hours a day, do they? Because that's absolutely fucking ridiculous to think that they should for that kind of thing. And, you know, obviously that's a physical sport, so there's a difference, but, like, playing a game for 12 hours a day, every fucking day, must be absolute hell. I'd hate to just sit and play Overwatch for 12 hours a day, every fucking day. That would be I would absolutely hate it. I don't have that kind of constitution, frankly, to sit and play the game for that long, right? Like, I can sit and play games for a long time, but, like, after playing Overwatch for, like, fucking 3 or 4 hours, I'm like, alright, that's enough of this cesspool for one day, right? Like, they probably do get tired. It's just, you know, they have an investment in the game that we don't have, basically, which is how they sort of get through it, right? They're just really committed to the game. You know, people have built careers around this game, so, you know, they're gonna play the game, basically, even if they don't necessarily want to. It's like, why would they not, right? It's like, you know, if you're fucking like, I'm a Cutie Pie or Ninja, right? Like, they make a fucking lot of money playing League of Legends and Fortnite, right? So it's like, why would they not just do that, right? You know, why would they not do that? It's like, it's my job, and I make a lot of money for doing something relatively easy, right? It's not like I'm out there doing fucking heavy labor or anything. So they have a certain investment in the game that keeps them going, basically. And, you know, grinding hours does help. It's, you know, whatever. How to decrease ping latency. Move to an area that has a better internet provider. Should I play whichever hero is best in the situation, or whichever hero I'm best at? You should definitely play whichever hero you're best at. Ideally, you can play the hero that's best in that situation competently, but if you are not confident playing the hero that's best for the situation, just play a hero that you're best at playing. Personal skill with the hero is better than the hero pick composition-wise. Because even if it's the absolute best pick composition-wise, if you don't know how to play that hero competently, it doesn't matter if it's the best pick, because you won't be able to leverage why it's the best pick. So you're still better off just picking whatever hero you're best at. Ideally, you can play that hero competently, but if you aren't confident in your ability to play them, just play the hero you're good at playing. Even if that means you're going to be picking third DPS Genji or Hanzo, right? Like, if you don't know how to play the best hero in that situation, you're better off picking Genji or Hanzo, right? Like, that's the reality of it. Anyway, so I've completed 3 Overwatch. Every season I finished lower than the one before. That's a very interesting trend. In 7 I ended around 8. Interesting. Part of it is probably, like, a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Where, like, after, like, 2 seasons of that, you would start to expect it, wouldn't you? So, part of it's probably self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know, like, it's, you know, this isn't, I've main Junkrat, but flex to 1-2 other heroes. I'm a vet, but it feels like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This would require, more context, really. Part of it, I would assume, is just being a self-fulfilling prophecy. More technical question from a new humble PC owner. Finish testing FPS, so I'll be buying either a 120 or 140. If I uncap the FPS limit, where I can get upwards of 200 FPS, but if I cap it, it only gets me about 128. This seems odd, because I can clearly run it higher. It seems odd to me. I mean, you can just run it uncapped, you know? I don't know. It isn't gonna matter that much. Basically, is not gonna matter that much. A CS:GO player who needs advice on improving at McCree. I remember seeing this clip like a couple weeks before Overwatch actually released, which was like basically when people had reached the peak height for the game coming out, and it was just like people playing in CSGO and then playing, basically trying to play as close to the hero as possible. So, you know, got people running around just the revolver and a flashbang, and someone was trying to be Genji, so he was just running around with a knife, you know. I remember, and they did pretty well, honestly. It was like a team video I saw. It was actually pretty funny. This has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. You know, I've got no interest in making concise, salient points. When I started playing, I had thought that perhaps I might start off decent as McCree because I had CSGO experience that I thought might transfer over. Likely true. I reached the rank LEM. Hold on. I have no fucking clue what that means. CSGO LEM rank. What does that mean? Is this a high rank? CSGO ranks explained. LEM. Legendary Eagle Master? That must be it. Yeah, because that's Silver Gold Master, Distinguished Master Guardian. These fucking names. Master Guardian Elite. Distinguished Master Guardian. Legendary Eagle. Legendary Supreme Master First Class. Fucking hell. So, LEM is the third highest rank, which is like probably like 1% of the player base or something like that. So that's quite high. The thing is that Overwatch and CSGO are drastically different games, so the only thing you're probably carrying over is like some decent aim. But like aiming in two different games is often different as well. Anyway, I think my aim in CS is decent. I would hope so. If you got to the fucking like, third highest rank. I can't seem to hit the 20s for eliminations apart from a few times. I'm guessing is this normal, just to be sure? I mean, when you start playing a game, you're not going to be great at the game, even if you have like played a drastic amount of hours in another game. There isn't necessarily that much carryover, especially from a game like CSGO to Overwatch, where CSGO is at least somewhat realistic, and Overwatch has a monkey from space, you know, so there isn't going to be much carryover, honestly. So, like, yeah, it's to be expected. You're not going to do that well when you start playing. It's fucking flies driving me insane. Will training McCree or any other hitscan players and any other hitscan players, I mean heroes, grammar, affect me in CSGO? Unlikely. Maybe a little bit, but unlikely, because it's like two different sets of muscle memory, basically, so it's unlikely to affect you. Apart from hard Ana training, is that what it's called? Fuck if I know. How else can I improve at McCree? Basically just by playing a fucking lot of McCree. Any aim-dependent hero, the answer is ultimately play a lot of that hero, because a lot of it just is muscle memory aiming. Any advice on improving on McCree would be appreciated. Bodyguard your backline, because you are one of the heroes in the game that has hard crowd control, so if there are people threatening the backline, you as McCree have the obligation to help them because you have hard crowd control in your kit. Secondarily, pick Soldier instead of McCree, because he's kind of just better. Climbing the time investment predicament. I'm a Lucio main that has been between 2,700 for every season since Season 4. I feel that SR-wise, and based off my comp a limb placement, which is apparently also takes your MMR into account. Fuck off, fly. I have a skill level of about 30-50. I know what I need to work on, I'm doing what I can. Should I worry about solo queue as a support? I play a few comp games as a weekend when I can play with friends, and that's usually about it. I want to play more to improve, but I worry about going in solo as a support in my current rank. If, like, it doesn't matter. If you are gonna climb, you're gonna climb as any role, regardless. Like, yeah, support's, like, harder to climb on than, like, a DPS, theoretically, anyway, but, like, if you want to get, like, just play the game. Like, you know, what's the worst that you're expecting to happen? Right? Like, you're going to lose a couple of games. You're probably going to do that regardless. Right? So, what's the worst that's going to happen? Just play the game. You know, if you want to play more to improve, play more to improve. It's kind of just that straightforward. If you want to improve, fuck, play more and improve. Who would have guessed? Looking to coach. Okay, D.Va left shift, or L shift. Are her boosters even worth using for damage anymore? I feel like I don't do that much more damage and end up wasting escape for a potential pick. They're absolutely still worth using, yeah. Not like if you're directly adjacent to the person, you know, just like bonking them with the boosters doesn't do very much. But yeah, like fucking go in on that, dude. That's D.Va's entire thing. You know, her and D.Va, fucking who would have guessed her? Her and Winston fulfill a similar role, but the difference is that, like, Winston, if you kill the person you're harassing, that's a bonus, honestly. Like, Winston does, like, assuming the other person isn't just, like, a blithering idiot, you probably won't kill them. You just harass the fuck out of them, right? You kind of usually need outside interference to actually kill somebody. D.Va does something similar, but D.Va is expected to kill people because she does enough damage to consistently kill people she's diving on, even by herself. So yes, you should still absolutely still, like, shift up to a man and try to kill him because it's a potential pick. If it's a potential pick, try to get the pick. That's the entire point of, like, playing D.Va. She has higher kill pressure, and she's good at punishing people out of position. So yes, you absolutely still should. Season 10 placements, is this a question in here? Is anyone else who mains tank support struggling in this meta? No. I play tank and support. I have no issue with the meta at all, really. I have issues dealing with Bridget, Widow, and Hanzo, and don't really know how to deal. Usually I'd switch to Winston, but I'm being shield bashed and punched into a damn wall. That is, yes, it's difficult sometimes. So, basically the way you deal with Bridget is, Baguette, sorry. Is, you pick, like, some of the heroes that counterpick Bridget. It's just kind of this way, where she is one of those heroes that, like, you need to pick a hero that's good at killing Bridget, or you kind of won't kill Bridget because she's hard to kill, right? That's kind of her thing, is that she's difficult to kill. So, you need to pick a hero like Pharah, Junkrat, McCree, Doomfist. So I don't think Doomfist's that as good against Bridget as people say he is. Like, she is this way where she's difficult to kill, so you can't, and she kind of, like, dominates the space so much, where she's, like, she's a very obnoxious hero, right? So, she's a hero that, like, demands your attention, because otherwise she's just gonna walk around stunning your entire team and being a pain in the ass. So you kind of have to do something about Bridget. So you basically just have to pick one of the heroes that's good against Bridget, or you're not really gonna do that much against her. Because if you don't beat Bridget, you're basically just, like, neutral with her, and, like, if you're neutral with Bridget, you'll never kill her. Like, a soldier is never gonna kill Bridget unless Bridget really fucks up. Genji can, but, like, it's hard. Tracer can, but it's hard. Like, if you're not good against Bridget, it's difficult to kill Bridget, basically. She is that way as a hero. Which, you know, people are very upset about Bridget balance-wise, because, like, she punishes people for doing stupid shit, which people aren't used to having happen to them, right? Like, it's the same how after Mercy's res got nerfed. I theorize a lot of people who were used to having their mistakes erased by the res suddenly probably plummeted in SR, because suddenly they were getting punished for shit they weren't getting punished for anymore by previously. And Bridget, now, having such on-demand crowd control, punishes people who don't know how to position properly, or choose bad times to engage, right? So, she punishes them for that very consistently, and people don't like that. They never learned how to play the game properly, and now they're getting punished for their stupid shit they do, and they don't like it, is what I basically assume is happening right now. But I don't think it's an issue that, like, this game that is meant to be based around adaptation to the enemy team, right? Like, you can switch at any point between the heroes, and there are very clearly defined counter picks between the heroes. The thing is that most situations do not require a drastic team composition switch to deal with, right? It's always like, unless there's some huge outlier on the enemy team, you can kind of run whatever team composition within reason, and it's fine. The exceptions are like, if there's snipers, you pick Winston, stuff like that, right? If they got a lot of tanks, you pick a Reaper. This game is meant to be about adaptation and willingness to switch between heroes, but the thing is that's never really been an issue previously, because there are not that many drastic situations that require a hero switch. And I think Bridget puts that onus on people more now, where they have to actually switch to deal with this, or the Bridget's gonna wreck them, right? And, like, I don't think that's a bad thing for the game, because I think adaptation and willingness to switch should be part of the game, but it hasn't really been part of the game up until, like, basically, like, very recently. Because, like, if the enemy team is, like, just, like, something normal, like, up until recently, it was, like, fucking, you know, like, Orisa, Roadhog, Genji, Soldier, fucking Mercy, or Moira Zenyatta, right? Like, that team composition is, like, so just, like, rounded and, like, fucking jack of all trades that there's, like, no significant hero adaptation to be made. And the other team is likely running something very similar. So, and like, that's how it's been the entire time, really, just in varying states. Like, when the game released, it's Reinhardt plus Zarya, plus, like, Soldier, Pharah, something like that, Mercy, Lucio, right? And the other team composition, the other team is probably something similar. And if it's not, it's within a few degrees of separation, so there's no need to make any drastic adjustments. It's always been that way, because, and you only switch for extreme situations, so I think Bridget is very annoying to play against, yes, and requires your attention, and somebody should switch to a hero that can, like, make life difficult for Bridget, or she's going to make life difficult for your whole team. I don't think that's a problem. I think that should be part of the game. So I think that the reaction Bridget has garnered is unjustified, because if you change to a hero like Pharah, Junkrat, something like that, Bridget can do almost nothing about that. Like, if you're playing against a Pharah as Bridget, you are extraordinarily upset about it, right? Like, the Pharah makes it extremely difficult to play Bridget, right? And so, and then, you know, then they switch to try and deal with the Pharah, and then you switch to adapt to that. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's how the game should be. Hero switching should be a part of the game, but the way the meta has been, like, the entire time, the way the meta has developed has not required hero switching to be a part of the game. So I think Bridget is good for that. That wasn't really what that was about. I went off on this huge tangent because I think that people's reactions to Bridget are unjustified and stupid. Anyway, how far do damage buffs stack? I actually looked at this previously. So how it works is that damage buffs do stack, and there's actually no upper limit on the stack. You can't overlap two of the same buff if you're in a mode that has this can have multiple of the same heroes, but there's no stack, no upper limit on stacking. The thing is that damage boosts stack additively, so they just go straight on top of each other, right? Like if you put Mercy's damage boost and Orisa's damage boost on somebody, they just stack together, right? Just straight up, you put that percentage increase on the other percentage increase. 20%, 30%, whatever it is, like, fucking, they just go right on top of each other. Discord's damage buff apparently stacks multiplicatively with that, which just means it has a lower increase the more you add to it. Whereas if you stack additively, it gets out of control really fucking fast. Apparently there is no upper limit on the damage stacking, though. So that's cool. But you can't layer the same buff on top of each other. Not that that really matters for the vast majority of the game. After a long break for a fortnight, not to be confused with Fortnite, I returned to Overwatch to do my new placement matches. On day one, I did really well, surviving entire rounds without dying as Mercy, or aiming very well as Maker and May. I thought it was very strange. I was tilted and worn out, and honestly a bit on tilt. Oh, I was tired, and okay. I was, like, tilted and on tilt. Whoa. Yeah. The next day, well, I must have lost all my skill when I fell asleep. I always thought state of health and mind could influence how we play the game, but maybe I'm missing something else. Just, like, people are inconsistent creatures, right? Like, you know, you can feel, like, you know, yeah, mental health. Oh, what the fuck are you doing? No. Why have you suddenly done this to me? I do not want to be on the new Reddit. It's fucking ugly. Jesus Christ. Yeah, mental health can have an impact, but at the same time, humans are just weirdly inconsistent creatures, so, like, you know, it's not really that shocking that that happens. How wide does my hero pool have to be as a DPS main? Not really that big. Like, most DPS players only play a couple of DPS, and they're usually within a couple of degrees of separation. I think, ideally, it would be, like... I'm trying to think of, like, what the most well-rounded hero pool possible could be right now. It would be, like, so you can play Soldier, Pharah, Reaper, and then Genji or Tracer. Because then you basically can fill any role required DPS-wise, right? And they are the ones that fit just, like, blanketly into the most team compositions. Because, like, Soldier you can just, like, put in a team composition, he's basically never bad. Reaper can be bad, depending on your team and the enemy team, but, like, you know, in certain situations he's a god. So, Genji and Tracer basically fit into any team composition without worrying about it, and Pharah is very good, usually just very good in general, but, like, depending on your team composition and the enemy team composition, she doesn't always work, unless you're a god. But that would be, like, the most well-rounded DPS hero pool, but realistically, that's a lot of heroes to know how to play, and some of them require vastly different skill sets, right? Like, playing a flanker is a drastically different experience to playing Soldier. So, more realistically, you know, I would say, like, Soldier, definitely, Pharah, and Reaper would be, like, the best, because then you've got Soldier, who's good in basically any situation, Pharah, who's really good in certain situations and just blanketly pretty good, and Reaper, who is excellent in some situations. It's, like, the most well-rounded it could be. But, like, honestly, if you're just really good at 1 DPS or 2 DPS, that's usually good enough anyway. Like, if you're really good at Soldier, you can play Soldier in basically any team composition and be, like, it's great, it's fine, whatever, you know. If you're really good at Genji, you can basically just play Genji even against a team full of Genji counters, and it's not a problem, because Genji is that type of hero, right? Same with Tracer. So, like, the question is basically more just, like, how versatile do you want to be? Do you want to be, like, a god at certain heroes, like Genji, or Soldier, or something like that, McCree, Widowmaker, what have you, Hanzo? Or do you want to be able to fill in a variety of situations? I don't think it needs to be very big as a DPS main, really. Like, just 2 is probably fine. In most, just like Soldier Reaper fits in most situations, right? Like Genji Soldier, something like that, right? Typically, people try to stay within the same tight category. So, like, you know, some people will try to stick to hit scan heroes, and people will try to stick to projectile heroes, but, like, doesn't necessarily matter. I've noticed people like to stick with one, though. It's really, like, do you want to be really versatile, or do you want to be just, like, a god at certain heroes, and be able to play that hero in basically any situation? Because you can definitely do that most of the time, anyway. So, ideally, it's, like, Soldier, Pharah, Reaper, Genji, or Tracer. But, like, it can be pretty small at the same time if you're really good at the heroes that you're good at. Notable Doomfists other than Brandito. I don't even know who Brandito is. Chipsa? Chipsa, is that the other one? I think? Whatever. There's probably more now. I've seen a lot of Doomfist players lately. Losing focus during games. Lately, I feel like I'm loses focus when playing ranked, casual, and so on. I just zone out. I've lost my past 2 competitive games. Oh, no. Oh, the horror. You've lost 2 entire competitive games? Oh, no. However will you recover from this crippling loss? As a Mercy, am I supposed to be pocketing Pharah? Yeah, basically. Like, the Pharah with Mercy is insanely strong. you should be trying to stick with Farah as much as possible, basically. And, you know, you can't always, because you still, like, yeah, you're pocketing the Farah, but you do have to, like, still kind of keep an eye on the rest of the team and heal them. Less of an issue now when usually team compositions look something like Mercy, Farah, Mercy, Moira, and Zenyatta. Or, Mercy, Bridget, Zenyatta, something like that, you know? There's usually 3 healers on a team these days. So it's a bit less of a concern now, but you should be pocketing Farah as much as possible while still keeping an eye on your team. And the great thing about having a Farah is that you kind of get to hang out in the sky and heal people from up there, because your tether range is still 15 meters, that's quite long. So you can still kind of just, like, hang out in the sky near Farah and heal somebody when they need it and then go back to the Farah. Like, it's just, the Farah gets so much stronger with Mercy, and Mercy gets so much extra mobility out of the Farah that they have, like, easily the most symbiotic relationship in Overwatch. Like, you should be hanging out with the Farah as much as possible, basically. Some tips for Winston and Rein. Winston, hold S/back when leaping to do a short jump. This lets you leap on targets precisely without jumping in a big arc in the air. I've actually never done that. It's a good point, I suppose. The landing animation of your leap can cancel with your melee. Yeah, you know, something you can do. Hold space AX when leaping and you'll bounce forward a little bit after landing. Yes, as a very basic mechanic of Winston, getting a little bit of extra jump distance out of the landing. So that's definitely something to do. So holding space AX while charging means you do a hop after it finishes, yeah. Oh, like AX on the controller, I see. You can cancel your melee animation with a fire strike. This gives you huge burst potential, true. Fairly narrow use, but yeah. Shield hopping lets you conserve your shield while still having decent uptime and moving at a constant speed. That's something that can fuck you and your team quite badly. I wouldn't consider that to be a particularly helpful tip and advice, because, like, you can really fuck up quite badly by shield hopping at the wrong time, so I wouldn't recommend just, like, blanketly doing that. Would anyone be interested in an Excel spreadsheet template to track games? I think the spreadsheet tracking thing is pointless at best, right? Like, I think people get too up their own ass about that kind of thing. I don't think that would be helpful. How do you play against a Hanzo that doesn't miss? Be extremely sad about it, basically. It's like, it's so hard to deal with Hanzo right now. Especially with Bridget also being around. Because, like, this bizarre thing has happened now that they've buffed Hanzo's projectile speed, which is that he can now contest Farah's, because he's only really projectile at very long range at this point, right? Like, his projectile speed is so fast now, he can consistently harass a Farah, especially with Storm Arrow as well. So it's like, even picking Farah against Hanzo is not necessarily very helpful anymore. And then it's like, well, alright, I'll pick a dive tank because, you know, Hanzo. But, like, Hanzo can just use Storm Arrow on you, he can lunge away, and Bridget's probably there. So it's very difficult to deal with Hanzo right now. As I foresaw this being after I saw the buffs coming, and, like, also that they were coming in tandem with Bridget getting added to the game. I was like, it's gonna make it so difficult to deal with Hanzo, and it is very difficult to deal with Hanzo right now. And if you're playing against a Hanzo that doesn't miss, you're just going to be sad, basically. I've seen a lot of games at this point get decided by which team has a better Hanzo. Like, it is actually awful. And basically, please nerf Hanzo. Please, please, please. Anyway, I'd like to get better with tanks. Okay. Currently, the only tank I can play and actively get objective kills as is Winston. It's a very odd metric to gauge your success by, but I see people who are great with Roadhog, it's one word, Diva, and Rein, but here are issues I have with them. She seems very weak in terms of her main weapon. I feel like I'm shooting forever, doing barely any damage. Her ultimate takes forever to charge. The thing with Diva is that, yeah, her gun isn't that strong by itself unless you're, like, right on top of the person and they're pretty big. The thing is that, like, she's a very cooldown-based hero, right? Like, Defense Matrix, the rockets, and her shift are very strong. So it's sort of, or boosters, I should say, are all very important. And, like, the diva loop is that like you go in on somebody shooting and firing rockets, and then you land on them and you do this big burst of damage right as you engage on them, and then you finish them off with the weapon. If they're not a tank, yeah, her left click is very weak. The thing is that like she's based largely around her cooldowns. You should be focusing more on using her abilities correctly rather than just like aiming. Obviously, like her aiming and tracking is an important skill for diva, but like the cooldown and resource management are more important skills for diva. Roadhog, his spread seems to be too big, and I can only get kills when someone is near me. That's exactly how Roadhog is. Yes, like he's meant to be. The thing that is strong about Roadhog is not his gun, it's his abilities. Roadhog is very based around his basic abilities, right? A lot of heroes are based around their ultimates, but then the second most important aspect of the hero is often their abilities. Very few heroes are actually defined by their weapon itself. There are a few, obviously, like Widowmaker is clearly defined by her weapon, right? Like her abilities and ultimate are secondary. Her weapon is what defines Widowmaker. Most heroes, though, are defined by their ultimate and their abilities. Roadhog's ultimate isn't that strong. It's strong in situations, but it's like 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 ultimate, right? The thing that's strong about Roadhog is his abilities. And because the hook is so scary and so threatening, Roadhog has this massive zone of control where people are afraid to be in it. Because if they get hooked by Roadhog, they are at a significant risk of dying, right? So the thing that's strong about Roadhog is the hook. And playing Roadhog well is about leveraging the hook and knowing when to hook and when to hold your hook, because you're always trying to hook somebody productively, right? Like if you're just throwing it out constantly when it's like a low chance of hitting, or won't likely convert into anything anyway, that's pointless, and then people see your hook is on cooldown, and they go, oh, he's not actually scary anymore, because now the thing that made him scary is on cooldown. So, yeah, his spread and all that is too big, but that's not what you should be focusing on again. The thing that's strong about Roadhog is his abilities, and the zone of threat that he has because of his abilities. I'm a great shield, but killing is a pain in the ass. Any tips for using his controls? Reinhardt doesn't usually get to go in and start swinging on people very often. Like, there's a very narrowly defined window you get to actually start swinging on people, which is like, somebody's out of position, you've engaged on somebody, or you've earth-shattered them, right? Like, if you engage a fight, and there's the big fight's broken out, both teams have engaged, you know, you can go in and start swinging on people, yeah. But, like, if things are neutral, you don't get to do anything as Reinhardt. You get to just sit there with your shield, fire striking people to build up Earth Shatter, and you're really just waiting for the fight to start, and for it to land an Earth Shatter, which is still engaging ultimately, isn't it? Like, you don't get to do things you don't get to do much except hold your shield up and use fire strike when things are in neutral. So killing it should not be a huge priority for Reinhardt outside of team fights, really. Like, obviously, if somebody's out of position, yeah, you want to punish the dude, but killing people only really happens in team fights for Reinhardt, so it's not like a super huge thing to worry about. You know, it's basically just like try to charge as short as possible so that they have less time to react, basically. Not like point blank because the hitbox gets weird, but you know, you want the short charge to be as short as possible so they have less time to react and dodge. Try and use Fire Strike as actively as possible during the fight. You know, try to land sick Earth Shatters. You know, like, you don't get to do stuff in neutral, basically. You just wait for the team fight to start and the engagement, and then you get to have fun. How come medals don't matter? Okay. Brutal, honest truth for people right now. Medals do matter. People like to say medals don't matter, and it's true that medals don't matter as much as a lot of people will say that they matter. But the medals do actually matter. At least a little bit, right? Because they are an indication of what you're doing in the game, right? So, the reason that medals are bad is because they give people the wrong idea of what they're doing, basically, right? Like, people just look at their gold medal and they go, I have gold eliminations, I have gold damage, so that means I'm a god. When the gold damage could be woefully low, right? Like, the gold damage could be 2k after an entire round has gone by, right? Which is awful, right? Like, if you're attacking or like if you don't capture the first checkpoint, if you've been attacking for the entire round and gold damage is only like 2k, that's awful, right? Like, you having the gold medal in that situation is nothing to brag about, because like you killed 3 roadhogs, right? Like, it's nothing to be excited about. So like, that's the thing with medals, is that it gives people the wrong idea of what a good metric of skill is, because they just see the gold medal and they go, I'm a god, when the medal can be very low. Similarly, people could be shit-talking on, like, they could have the gold medal and they're shit-talking on the DPS, on one of the DPS. Like, it could be like, one DPS has got the gold medal, and then Roadhog or Diva's got the silver damage medal, and then the other DPS has the bronze medal. And they'll shit-talk that third DPS for having the bronze medal, even though that bronze medal could only be, like, 100 points of damage lower than the silver and gold medal, right? Like, it could be, like, literally all 3 of these medals are within 200 DPS of each other, right? Like, it gives people the wrong idea of what's going on, because you can only see one part of the equation, right? So that's the thing that's bad about medals, is it doesn't tell you exactly whether what you've got now is good or not. But it does give you an indication of what's going on. Like, if you have the gold damage medal, but no eliminations medal, that does say something about your gameplay, because that says that you are doing a lot of damage, but it's not converting into kills, which is a big deal, because if you're doing nothing but meaningless trash damage the entire time, that didn't do anything. The only hit point that actually matters is the last hit point, because that's the one that kills, right? So the medal can be an indication of what you're doing, right? And it can be an indicator of what's happening in the game and what you're doing and what you should be trying to do, right? Like, if you're playing like fucking Reinhardt and you've got like no objective time medal and you've got like gold damage and like bronze eliminations, that means you're trying too hard to fight and you're not trying hard enough to be a tank, right? The medals do matter somewhat, right? People try to go, oh, the medals don't matter. They don't matter as much as a lot of people think they do, but they do still actually matter, right? This is often the case whenever there's 2 extreme sides to an argument. Medals either matter a lot or medals don't matter at all. The truth is usually somewhere in between those 2 points, right? Medals do actually matter. The thing is that the reason they're bad is just that they give people the wrong idea of what good numbers are and like what their relative skill is, basically. Like, that medals do actually matter at least a little bit, though. New to Overwatch, how am I doing after 100-ish competitive games? Here are my stats on the Overwatch website. The Overwatch website lets you just, like, look at people's stats. Oh no, you've seen my email. Oh no, the horror. Look at all that. Oh, gives you a rough idea of what my queue is looking like right now. It's not actually that long. That's basically the entire thing. Anyway. Let's look at this number over here. So, 100-ish games, silver, plays mostly soldier. Didn't even know you could do this on the Overwatch website. Time spent on 5... This is the thing with the Overwatch website, the Overwatch stat tracker thing, is that, like, Blizzard bloat so much of the stats to, like, meaninglessness. Barrier damage done per 10 minutes, 3? That can't possibly be right. Hero damage done per average per 10 minutes, 9? There's no way. This can't possibly be accurate. No, this... Blizzard, what the fuck are you doing? What is this shit? This... whatever. Fucking fly, go away. As you can see, my win rate is horrible. I mean, you know. I'm getting about 3.5 medals per game. Pretty good. GSB split. Like, I know what that means. I've just never seen it, like, written like that. Which is probably good. Probably good. My mentality is pretty chill. I don't tilt anywhere of, yeah, I mean, you know, people improve at, like, different rates and all that. Play 3,000 plus hours of League of Legends. This is like basically my gaming history. Yeah, you know, you're playing the game. Overwatch, fucking Blizzard's website is like awful. Swapping off of Zarya with Grav, never. There's like no situation in which you should just drop a Graviton on the floor. Even like absolute edge case scenario would be like, you are in overtime, need to get back to the objective, you have Zarya, so you think about changing to a faster hero to get back to the objective. The thing is, you should probably still stay on Zarya, because like if you do get there, you having Graviton is a big deal, right? So I cannot think of a single situation in which I'm playing Zarya and have Graviton and I switch. I'm trying to think of one right now. No, I can't think of a single situation in which you should swap off of Zarya if you have Graviton. I'm Hype Man. Roughly a year back, I made myself a complete chart of Overwatch game info. I regularly keep it updated and figured it would be great information for others who want to improve. Show me, Hype Man. If shot... Exception of Widow with a 2.5 damage increase. Actually didn't know the exact difference right there. Ult charge... 5... Oh my goodness, look at all this math. Health packs, yep. Really, mega packs take 15 seconds. It doesn't feel that long. The heroes with no melee. Her melee is the same as her primary fire. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right, that Bridget can use the quick melee button to do the left click, but Reinhardt can't. But his melee isn't quick at the same time, I suppose, right? Payload speeds, 1 person. Fuck, this dude knows the exact travel time of the payload. Oh my god. That's absolutely mind-boggling. Doomfist's move speed, 5 point, best defense. 6 move speed, 5.5. 5.5 is the average, I assume? Yeah. So fucking like Genji and Tracer are 0.5 faster. It should be faster than that, honestly. And someone like Roadhog should be mad slow, honestly, you know. This is, you know, there's a lot of information in here, certainly. I don't know how necessarily helpful it is, but it's in there. Why does virtually no one play tanks anymore? I don't think that's true. Like, I've yet to see this happening. Like, I see people complaining about this constantly. No one's picking tanks. Oh god, tanking is horrible. Oh god, I'm not seeing it. It's exactly the same as when people were telling me Orisa was dominating the fucking metagame and Reinhardt had completely fallen out of favor. I never saw Orisa dominating the ladder. I have yet to see no tanks happening, or like for tanks to be getting absolutely wrecked in games. Like, I'm just not seeing it happen. If it is happening, they're doing a remarkably good job of hiding it from me. Fucking Blizzard trying to keep the man down. The importance of trigger discipline. In this clip, we talk about the application and importance of trigger discipline and 3 specific reasons why it should be practiced with all heroes, not just Zenyatta. Fuck off. Does Rhine and Bridge Shield have startup? Yes. It's very, very small, but they do have startup. And it gets fuzzy because your latency can affect it as well. You know, it doesn't actually affect it, but it effectively affects it. There is like a brief, like, point-something seconds periods where the shield is still starting up. It does start up very quickly, but there is a very, very brief startup. My best DPS is Soldier. Should I try to learn Hanzo from scratch or stick with Soldier 76? If you want to play Hanzo, play Hanzo. If you don't want to play Hanzo and you like 76, stick with 76. 76 isn't bad. So it's going to be very hard for Soldier to ever be a bad hero, really. Because he's just so well-rounded, basically. Right? Like, he does good damage. He can fight he can even fight divers. He has like above average mobility because sprint is actually pretty strong, and he can helix jump and all that as well. He has decent burst damage because of Helix Rocket. He has self-sustain. He has one of the more threatening ultimates in the game. Top 3 for my money. Third, like, you know, Dragon Blade Graviton, but like Tac Visor to me is like the third strongest offensive ultimate. Like it's gonna be hard for Soldier to ever be bad, right? Like, yeah, Hanzo's really strong right now, but like if you don't want to play Hanzo, if you want to just stick with 76, stick with 76. If you want to play Hanzo, play with change to Hanzo, go for it. I want to get better with Hanzo. My aiming is not the best at fucking all. It is like the aim of someone who got fucked in his eye with a fork. How do I get better with that guy? I tried so hard, but it seems like nothing's working. You have to play a lot. You have to play a lot. You have to play a lot. It's true of any hero that's mechanically demanding. There's no shortcut. You just have to play the hero a lot. I have taken a small break from the game and have just come back a couple of days ago. I did my placement matches and got placed 27-ish hundred, all good. Proceeded to play some games over the past couple of days and quickly dropped to gold. My hero pool is identical and I don't think I'm making any wildly different decisions. I feel like in about 1 week without playing. This could just be variance. I mainly play off-tank, including Roadhog, Zarya, D.Va, Soldier, Tracer. See, now the problem I'm noticing there is that you play Roadhog and D.Va, and they get fucked pretty bad right now. And far when a Bridget is really annoying me. There you go. That's how you do it. This could be within the realm of variance, because if you're 2700, you don't have to lose you know, room for error. You don't have to lose that many games to go down to gold. Like this could easily be within the realm of variance. It could be that you did above average in placements and got placed above where you should actually be. You know, variance could easily just be the explanation for this. 1 week is probably not going to make very much difference. You might be a bit rusty, but like probably not going to make that much difference. But see, the issue I'm noticing is like most played Roadhog. Maybe don't do that right now. Yeah, you know, like 1 week shouldn't make much of a difference. I assume it's basically just some degree of variance in one direction or the other. So we've gone through 2 pages, and fuck, that's a long video. Alright, great job, team. So thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.